Hi everyone. Rather than send you an email with just a bunch of text, trying to explain this new system, or creating a PDF with just trying to screenshot everything, I figured if I created a quick 10-minute video, I could just get you up to speed with the new system, and you wouldn't have to read anything. So here we go. We still have the after-school database. We had a separate system to archive your documents, so all the evaluations and report cards and whatnot that ERC does, we had them on a separate system. The problem with that system is you were sharing it with other people, and when we required additional functionality, I didn't want to blur the lines between what that system was and what you had. So since you guys are our best client, I went ahead and made a new site called the FCSS portal. You'll notice up here it just says fcssportal.ercdata.com, and it will bring you to this login page. This is going to house anything that is not after school attendance. Okay, so evaluations, you'll see what it does here in a second. In order to log in, you just use your username and password from the after school manager software, the attendance system. Okay, so every project specialist is already going to have a login on this system. I would rather have made it just this quick link from the after school manager to this system and auto log you in, which I will eventually. But just to get this up and running, I went ahead and just created a login system for it. And so right now you'll have to use the same username and password you use on the other system. So just bear with me while I get that implemented. So I'm going to go 2012 ERC. Okay, that's my password. I log in. And go there, and you'll notice there are a bunch of stuff on this dashboard. Okay, and so if you've logged into the other deliverable system, the old one, this is going to look very familiar. This is an upgrade I did about a year ago, so it's going to have this look and feel. So it should look very familiar. There's the recent documents there, the last 10 documents that were added. These are old. We haven't done the 17-18 report cards yet. Total documents, and then if you wanted to, you could search for a document. So let's say I was looking for something for Sheridan. Well, then it'll give me all the documents I have that with Sheridan in the name. Okay. So I could go here to Document Archive, and again, this should look familiar. I get my documents here. Might take a second. You guys have a lot of documents, and you'll notice it just starts from the most current year, right? We haven't done 17-18 yet, all the way down to the oldest year. So I go there. Apparently, in 05-06, before John was with ERC, this is what the report card looked like. Okay. And so now if I go to the most recent year, for example, all your most recent report cards. And then if I wanted to print them all out, or sorry, to download them, I could just click that, click Download Batch. Might take a while depending on how many you've downloaded or selected to download, but then I go there and you'll see that I got that. Those are the documents, right? If you select a bunch of them, the file will get pretty big. So if I selected all these, for example, and the reason is that it's got every school report card here, and they're about 2 megs each. So you guys have 140 schools plus the districts. It starts to get really, really big. So if you ever have to do that and you click Download Batch and it seems like it's not doing anything, I promise it is. It'll come out eventually. Okay. And so that should all look familiar to you. You could click on various documents just to preview them here. There's a download button. There's a print button. Some stats down here, how many times it's been viewed, who it's been viewed by. And you could just do that. Okay? So that's the portion that you've already seen before, or hopefully you've already seen before. If not, have at it. And you'll see some other stuff up here. So the observation dashboard. You do some observations and you enter them into PDFs, and in fact let me pull it up here. And what would happen here is that they would get emailed to Jet, and then he would take those individually and he would import them to a database and then keep them there, and you guys would keep doing it, and then at some point he would create a report and he would give you that report, and then if there were any missing, if somebody forgot to submit one, you could submit it to him again, but then he'd have to go and rerun the entire report, and it was just very inefficient. So we're going to fix that. But the first thing we have to do, you'll notice this form should look familiar. I went ahead and took it from Jet and fixed it up a little bit. So you can no longer type your school site in. The entering of school sites by typing just didn't work very well. So for example, if I pick one here, I'm not picking on anyone here, but if I pick like Huron MS, the next time you might have done it at Huron Middle School, Huron Middle, and so there's 3 different names for the same school, and it just was not working. The same for the project specialist names. They just have to be consistent every time. Even the spacing, like if there was 2 spaces between this name here, it wouldn't work. Date, the same thing. People were typing in, February 1st, 2018 in text, or some people were using a 4-year date or 2-year date. So we're going to change these to be a little more consistent. So now you have to pick something from a list. You have to pick your name from a list. If I've forgotten anybody on this list, send me an email, let me know. It's very easy to add. You've got to pick a date, right? We'll do today. And then you can go ahead and still type the activity name because it's not, for stats, it's not going to matter. Just it's for record keeping. So let's go. My activity. Grade levels, I just left alone because apparently it's not being used anywhere. So if you know that it is being used somewhere, let me know. But I've asked Jet and Lisa and they said it's not being used. So you can still do everything you used to do before, right? You can add a description. So I'll just do the, what is it, Lorem ipsum, is that the Latin filler? And so even though the text looks big, don't worry, it will start to shrink. Well, at least it should here. Anyway, I'll fix that up. It should let you do multiple line, but I promise it will save. And then you can do these things here, right? Let's go there. You could do more notes. See, those are big, they should shrink up. I'll fix this up before I send you the official version, and then you could do there. And this is going to be the same exact thing that you've done, except that when you get down here, there's going to be a big submit button, and that's key to making this work the way we want it to work now. So let me go back into the system now that you've seen the updates on this and show you what happens to it. So I go to this observation dashboard, and you will notice that I get the same form, but you get all your stats. Okay. Now, a couple things to note here. I'm in 2017-18. I'm viewing all schools. I got some exports here. I've got the exports here. Again, if you're on the After School Manager website, this should look very familiar, right? On all the reports, we have Excel, PDF, and Word. This report is 12 pages. Now, why is it 12 pages if it's only a 2-page template here? Well, the reason is for every report that you submit, you can add notes. And so I had to find a clever way of including the notes. So let me just go ahead and do this to PDF. And you'll see why it's 12 pages. So there we go. We go there. So it looks just like it should, right? There was 129 observations, multiple school sites, multiple dates, multiple observers, etc., etc. Stats for how these were answered. And then a list of all the notes. So you could print these out and hand them to a school site or whatever. I'll show you how to drill that down in a minute. But you'll notice that these are all the things that were entered into the section called Brief Activity Description. And there's going to be a lot of them because this is every report that was submitted last year. So let's just go down the list here. We're at Fresno Unified. These are going to be in alphabetical order. So we go down, we go down, we go down. Let's find the next section here. There we go, West Park. So, and then you got your notes for question 1. And those are all the notes. That's why this is 12 pages. It'll only be 12 pages when you select all schools. So if I click this guy, you will notice that you have you have, first of all schools, all 9 through 12, all K-8. So if I clicked all 9, 12, I will know that there were 26 observations, all done by Miss Lori Carr, and it'll have all of the things that were entered. Okay, and then after that it goes each district and each school site. Let me find a good district here with some stuff in it. And okay, so Coalinga Huron. If I click on the district name, it gives me the district report. Okay. Click on the school, as you can imagine. This little number here just means how many observations were done for that school. So Sunset had 2, Nell Dawson had 1. I click on Nell Dawson. This is the Nell Dawson report if you wanted to print it out. The notes will still be at the end. And then these little links here do the exact same thing as these, but I figured if you were in a hurry and you just wanted to go, boom, Nell Dawson, export PDF, then you could just do that and not have to, find the little button down here. And then that's it. So this will show you your results. You don't have to ask one of us to print them for you or do anything like that. But the really cool thing is, oh, and by the way, we're going to be archiving these, right? So if I go down to 2016-17, all schools, remember that last year we had a 1, 2, 3 rating. For whatever reason, there were some 4s in there, so I just kept it as 1, 2, 3, 4 rating, just so that we wouldn't lose any data. Plus, I don't want to spend too much time on 16-17 when we should be getting ready for 18-19, so let's just look to the future. The only other thing to mention here is that this is a long list, and so if you want to drill it down, so let's say I was looking for Nell Dawson, well, I can just do Nell, and then that, if I only wanted FUSD schools, well, then I could do FUSD, and so on, so Alvina, and that way you don't have to be looking through the list, okay? So, let's make this bigger so you can see it, right? And so the cool thing is, though, that this form, the reason I updated it, is now it goes directly to that database. So as soon as I click this, in fact, let's do this. Let's go look for a school that doesn't have it, just so I can prove I'm not a liar. So Burl doesn't have any observations, right? Okay, so now I know that I can test this. So I selected Burl from the list, I picked Jenny, 521, I typed some stuff in, and now if I click submit, it'll just tell me that form submitted successfully. You don't have to save this. It's going to ask you, but don't, because it's just a web page. So don't save. You could save this. Oops, where am I? You could save this. I know you guys like to do that, and you should, in case there's ever a discrepancy. You could always resubmit the form or something. But you could keep that. And then if I go back here, if I'm not a liar, when I update this or when I refresh the page, it should tell me that there is a new Burl observation. Let's make that bigger again. And there you go. The way I answered it, right? It was Jenny. It was 521. I typed in my activity. There's one observation in that group. And there you go. Right? Some notes. I put notes down there. And so this is going to happen, real time, so that if you decided, I forgot to submit one, you could always submit it and just print this out yourself, and you're not causing, any backflow or anything. You just let anybody that's printed it off, you let them know that hey, there's been an update. But that's it. Okay. So very short. A couple other things on the system, right? You could hide this goofy thing. If you're looking at it on a mobile device, it will degrade well. So you notice that if I were looking at it on a phone, it would still all look nice. Okay. You could go. Let's go like that. You could go full screen. Not full screen, whatever. I tried to build in some documentation in there. And then that's it. So you'll notice these placeholders here. When I asked Jet and Lisa what else we were doing in terms of like surveying and things that could be on here, they mentioned the CQI and the student feedback survey. So I haven't gotten to those yet. Let's make this big here. Just because I wanted this out this week, so I'll be working on those next week. But these should look familiar to you, right? The CQI form, which is coming up, I should probably get to this pretty quick. I'm going to change this so it does the same thing. You have to pick a site off the list. You have to pick you can type in the site lead, I guess. You have to pick the project specialist. And then you can enter these just as normal. You'll have a submit button. It'll go to that database. You'll get instant results, and then we'll have that. Same thing with this one, right? The quality standards assessment rubric. We'll do that in the same way. And so those will just be housed right here, and I'll give you a dashboard, and that's all it's going to do for now. As you go through this, you're going to have a bunch of feature requests. Just email them to me. I'll get a list going, prioritize them, and get to the ones that I can. You're going to want to slice data in a different way. Just let me know how you want to do that. And also, if you think of anything else that can be on this system that I don't know about yet, that I'm not aware of, or a project I'm not involved in, but that could go on here, just let me know. We'll put it on the list. We'll get it on here, and that way you have instant feedback whenever you do things with the ERC. So have at it, and let me know if you have any questions.